Welcome, everyone. I'm Ron Gagosian. Tonight, we are talking about global momentum, global leadership. Why? Because leadership is not a title, it's a movement. Movement creates momentum, and momentum and movement create opportunity. So, if you're here tonight and you're just sitting still and you have some ideas and you're not moving, that's what separates builders from the watchers. So it's maybe that time for you to stop watching and to get off the sidelines, if you will, and get in and start to create some movement and momentum. So why did I choose global leadership tonight? Global leadership is something that everyone who is really in an entrepreneurial way at this point in time need to take into their overall vision. Because you may have clients, even though you are a domestic US business, you may want to have your international side of that revenue stream for you. You can have particular business builders or have people, depending on the industry that you're in or your travel, can include a global a global perspective. That global perspective really keeps things moving in today's world because we do not live in an isolated world. We live constantly, really, I mean, as a matter of just my daily life, we're moving and we're moving with talking to people in South Africa, talking to people in Canada via Zoom, the UK, Europe, New Zealand, Australia, and other parts of the world. So having that global influence in your business is really something I highly suggest you take into account and begin to frame into your overall business offering. So tonight I'd like to share a quick story with you, and I'd like to start with some of the laws that are really the support of why you would want to have and be a global leader in motion. And again, the theme tonight is global leaders in motion. And that is, we're going to talk about why we're on the walk, on the journey, on the treadmill, on the path, whatever way you want to phrase that or sounds good to you. It could be a lane in a swimming pool. The point is, we're creating a movement and we're going in a particular direction, and we are repeating that. That's also a piece that has to really stick tonight. There's lots of repetition, there's lots of do-overs, and it's about momentum, visibility, and less about outcomes when you're just beginning. Less about outcomes. We get very, very concerned in today's world about who likes me, who's reviewed me, who is watching me, but it's more about you and your work and your endeavor of getting that visibility and being really emotionally impartial to those who maybe have a critique of you, and for those of you that give you the thumbs up. And if you can emotionally walk through the middle of that without really caring either way, other than the people that move towards your table and who want to do business with you, those are really the only people that you really want to have some kind of an emotional attachment to. So I'm really helping us to really begin to prepare the path, not to look at the weeds on the side or the bricks or the stones, but keep your eye on the path, keep your eye, and our pace is the momentum. And from there, we begin to walk this journey in terms of global. Let me tell you a little bit about my movement here, and I want to then go into uh, I want to go into some laws of momentum and visibility and things of that nature. It's really, really key when you are starting out and you are creating a online business, or you're creating a level of business. It could be a shop. It could be just you're in business and you're collecting other people's money and putting it in your e-commerce drawer, or you're putting it in your cash register. Either way, it all goes to the bank and it's all good. But there's some very fundamental laws that you need to really, really take note of. The first one I'm going to say is the law of visibility. The law of outcomes is next. The laws of momentum. And specifically, we're going to talk about really momentum and movement tonight, in and how global leaders stay in motion. It's really, really an important piece. So now we have our global framework. We have the aspect about what our path looks like, because we're going to walk this together for the next 15 or 20 minutes. And I am just so happy and I'm very thrilled that you're here with me tonight. It's really great to be with you. If you're viewing us from around the world in your time zone out on YouTube, welcome. This is really, really important. And I'm so excited because if you are specifically uh, tuning in on YouTube from another country, we are definitely a company and a movement about global leadership. And that's really, really what it's about. We're not out to be a particular government entity in terms of global leadership, but we are in business and we want to be able to have a worldwide reach. And that's really, really important. So when we talk about the law of visibility, that really what is behind that is the thrust, and the fuel is movement. Movement, your daily activity, the things that you do, the schedule that you keep, and how you continue to do that day in and day out. You have to have a pattern that moves you. There has to be blocks of time that you spend doing particular functions during your day. It could be meeting with clients, depending on if you are an online business and you have social media apparatus that you have to attend to, or you have a virtual assistant, you have to do planning, you have to do content creation. There's all of these different aspects that revolve and move around that. So again, movement, movement. There's a daily consistency. Consistent global leaders do the same thing every day. There is a pattern and a consistency to that. The next is the law of momentum. Momentum is not necessarily movement, but momentum means that you create, for instance, with a social media presence, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, you are consistent in your movement daily that creates momentum of having others and viewers uh, looking at your content, or you are creating sales or monetizing those sales via your daily movement. And then the next is the overall, the law of visibility. If you're not visible to people, if you are creating a lens that is too tight, in a very monocular way, as if we're looking through just a single scope through either your left eye or your right eye, we're really losing the perspective of the global look, whether it's domestically in your country, the United States, or whatever country you're looking at, and then looking across the oceans. at other lands and other demographics. So the actual visibility has to be an aspect that you have to have in your daily dashboard. All right, because you want to know, possibly in your social media, you want to open up that lens. You want to see, depending on your country restrictions, and I don't want to go too deep into all of the social media buttons and clicks and all of the maneuvers that you can have, but you're going to have to pick where you want to have your global markets. And I would stick to one and keep that particularly focused for at least a 60 to 90-day period while you are looking at your dashboard daily and weekly and monthly and begin to gather those metrics. So now that we've established that, let me tell you a little bit about um, how I look at my business. One of my particular, I have the LifeWave business that I am so passionately involved in, and my business is growing, and I have visibility. I have people that are talking to me. I just finished just before this call. Someone called me and was very interested in the LifeWave product itself. And to be able to express that in terms of not just the scientific way, but at the business level, the business model. So you're going to have to study, you're going to have to spend time learning about your particular product so that when someone does call, and that's part of the visibility, you will be able to speak very accurately and in a very precise way so that your time is maximized over the telephone, so that alliances can be formed, so that a sale would actually happen, or some type of ongoing reoccurring business, because that is ultimately what you want to look for, is how could you have some type of recurring, consistent monthly income that would be driving from that alliance or that sale. Okay. So I have been in business for many, many, many years. I grew up in San Francisco. I went to school in Santa Barbara. I came back and to the San Francisco city itself, being a native old school San Francisco native. And I grew my business in I grew my professional life in the institutional side of the consumer and commercial banking and different products and financial services. So I cut my teeth walking the streets. I learned how to sell, went through various different selling programs, technology. So I've done a lot, and business as well, and banking at the consumer level, the commercial level, and at the high payments level, and then technology. So over that span of time, I have had a reach. I've had my hands down into the salad bowl, and I've really been down in there, and I've had the opportunity in business at the institutional level and at the consulting level in my previous consulting, performance consulting in San Francisco and in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've been able to spend many hours with the chieftains of business in San Francisco and the Silicon Valley and in Los Angeles and even on the East Coast. So, from that, where does this take us? Well, today, again, our focus is global leaders in motion. And I would expect at this point in time that you would have a global leadership mentality for your particular business. And I'd like to move, now that I've talked about certain laws, I'd like to talk about what I call these not acts, or I call them movements. And so my next movement for you is what I like to term as circumstances versus desire. So I'm going to be speaking. I want you to put your sales hat on with me, and you are speaking to someone so you can create a scenario that maybe just happened recently, or a scenario that you're expecting to have in the type of a sales situation where you are actually having a script or you have a set of sales ideas that you are going to make a presentation, whether it's a 15-minute, an hour presentation in a boardroom or in a conference room, what have you. Could be standing out or sitting over someone's kitchen table in that regard. Sales is the lifeblood of business. I really don't care how you cut it, but the bottom line is if you're going to be in business, sales is something you have to do, or you're going to have a part of your organization doing that for you. And you will then be and collect the data to see how the sales department is performing. So, in that, when people are approached, and you can start thinking of that scenario again, a person's objection is really a well-crafted mental space. And there's some real amazing objections. If you've been in sales, you've heard a few of them. You get the money objection, you get the time objection, you get the I don't, and especially in today's world, and I've been experiencing it a lot from a real practical level. Um, I really don't have the bandwidth right now. That seems to be a big one going on in our society, especially here in the United States. Um, and so, but what you'll find is people consult their circumstances, and it's part of the objection process. So when someone is objecting, you have to listen really closely, because what you'll find is they're consulting circumstance and something in whether it's their business or personally, that it is a belief system that they have that they're consulting while they're talking to you, and they're going to either create a roadblock or an objection or say not right now, I'm not interested, or we'll talk in 15 days from now when the sun comes out or the street lights come on. And so from those particular that realm, you want to move people, so and think of how do you move them from consulting their circumstances and moving them towards their desires. Or maybe you start after, you can move them from their circumstances and you can create that. And that some of those circumstances can be legitimate, but there's a price. And that's really the piece where you have to expose what the price is in their life, not the price of the product or the service. That's part of the components overall when you are trying to expose how the pain will accumulate in their life as you are working through the sales process. So again, people will consult their circumstances and really begin to object for your product or service based not on what their desires are. Some will, and I would expect that some of the people here watching this move more from their desire and their goals and what they want in life as and their why, rather than I don't have the money, I don't really have the time, and I don't have. So they dwell in that negative aspects. And so leaders respond to desire. That's really what they look at. So global leaders, people that are looking to expand their horizons, will look at their desires and their why to build wealth, their health overall, and their overall legacy. Those are really the three main pieces that they will build towards. And then there's the I don't consult my bank accounts to decide my future. I consult my desire. That's the frame, and I'm going to repeat that. That's the frame that you want to communicate. You don't necessarily want to say this to them, and I don't want to get too granular here, but you don't want the people that you're speaking to, because price is always a concern and other issues are factors. But in the massive, massive world that we live in, you will be surprised at how granular you will be pulled into that pit of where people will pound and obliterate your presentation based on how they consult life. And you really, really, as just a matter of advice, you don't really want to go there. You really need to be cognizant as a global leader as you're moving through the process and you're moving through your whys and you're needing to understand their whys. And we need to understand how to build your presentation based on what they want and their whys. That's really, really the key. That's the key. So another law that I subscribe to and for global leaders is the pain of regret versus the pain of discipline. Global leaders, I am very serious about this. Global leaders out there watching this, you must have a framework, a solid framework, whereby you are looking at your daily diet of what you do. And whether it's, again, whatever that might be, to make your movement and create your momentum and your visibility that produce outcomes, you must have an idea of what it means and what it will cost you. So, what that might be in terms of the pain of regret versus the pain of discipline, that if you don't reach your goal, if you don't reach your financial goal, what is that going to produce in terms of pain for you? Rather than the short-term result of pain, which can be because if you're creating movement and you're doing all of the work that's necessary to create momentum, that creates visibility, that then creates outcome, and then ultimately monetization, and you can follow my diagram there, there is a pain of discipline. You will feel tired. That's a good thing. That's a really good thing when you get tired, because what it's going to do, it's going to force you, if you handle it really correctly and you stay centered, you will be able to say, I need to stop doing this. I need to move that off my desk. I need to handle this aspect in a more timely manner so that I have the time to do it. It might mean one less telephone call. Today I had a telephone call. It was a nice telephone call that I had with someone on a personal level, but I made a mistake. And I'll admit it to you. I spent a little bit too much time on the telephone and it threw me off by about 30 minutes. So you have to be very, very cognizant of your time within time blocks. So again, you're going to have, and to be very, very global leaders, really have a discipline and a consistency about how they view, if their outcomes and their goals are not met, they're going to have the pain of regret, as compared to they achieve it, they set the goal and they get there, whether it's 90 days, 60 days, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. I wouldn't go past 3 to 5 years. We'll keep it in that range. And part of that is going to be a pain of discipline. And that pain of discipline is a good thing. You just need to monitor it and keep adjusting for it and adjusting it and adjusting it and create it so that it becomes really part of your DNA. So where do we go with all of this in terms of, just to give you a practical, pragmatic uh, view of my global leadership? I want to share with the world my X39 LifeWave experience. And if you want to learn more about LifeWave, you can go to Gagosiangroup.com, click on LifeWave. You can learn more about it. You can go to thisisitinfo.com and you can learn more about that. But from a global leadership standpoint, I want and I desire to have people that are in the business, that are business brand partners with me, building wealth and legacy in other countries. There's nothing more beautiful than to be, on a 9-hour time difference, or to be speaking to people in Australia or New Zealand when it's Friday in the morning Pacific time, say, or Eastern time, and it's tomorrow in Oceania, in Australia or New Zealand. Just the opportunity to be with other people and to see how, and to be with them and to grow your business. That's the kind of legacy wealth that you're spreading. So if you have that, how can I be in a legacy type of wealth oriented business and be able to have a global influence? Oh my gosh, to be able to speak to people and to have clients and potential clients in other countries is just a magnificent thing, and it's a wonderful opportunity. And with today's technology, to have that, it's an amazing thing. I'm always in a state of awe when I'm speaking to folks in either Europe, the UK, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and places like that. So we want to wrap up. We want to kind of get to and bring the wheels down as we're approaching our time here. I want to be mindful with that with you. We are at a place and point in time in society where the global reach is easier today than it has ever been, folks. It is so easy. It's so much easier now uh, because of exactly what we have going for us right now. The camera is recording. It will be put up. The asset will be put up to YouTube from uh, the the uh, the Zoom here, and you'll have that. You'll have it in my particular Gagosian Group library for you to refer to. So again, whatever you're looking at in terms of your global impact, I really highly suggest you get that and to really integrate that into your business plan. It is really a must. Unless your particular product or service is so unique to your demographic area that you must, because of possible governmental regulations and things of that nature, but it doesn't stop you from reaching and creating visibility, because possibly those people might want to come to you and travel to see you based on your interaction via the telephone or via any type of conference call mechanism that would create, or through social media. So there are the windows, and I highly suggest, and I most certainly recommend that you really keep a very global vision out there. So for me, my global reach is through the LifeWave X39 patch and touching people around the world and building my legacy and my legacy wealth and my teams that way. And having that view is critically important. So again, leaders move, they don't wait, they choose desire over their circumstances, and they don't They very minimally, I'll put it that way, they do not consult their circumstances. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the skill. It is a skill. I still practice it. There's always that little movement in my brain cells that wants to go back and consult my circumstances from time to time. And I really have to then create the muscle to force that thought pattern through a whole different lens. And from that, you also want counsel. You want other people's input. Of course, you just don't want to make certain personal and business decisions on your own. But you always want counsel. It's like the African proverb where the Bushmen say, if you want to go on a short journey, go by yourself. If you want to go on a long journey, take someone else or go with others. And it's really, really true in business. And it's very true as global leaders begin to look at how they're creating a vision, not just in their domestic region, but how they are going to look at their overall global vision, because that is the world that we live in. And it's not going to change and go backwards at this point in time. I do not believe. I do not believe that it's going to just continually become more and more of a global business environment for most of us, whether you're at an institution, corporate business, or you are in business for yourself. That is the vision to have. So my direct invite to you is this evening is that if you want more information, please contact us at www.gagosiangroup.com. That's GAGOSIAN group.com. You can see us out on YouTube at the Gagosian Group, also on Facebook Business at the Gagosian Group, and globally aligned.Ron Gagosian on Instagram. Again, I want to thank you. I want to just say I've just been delighted that you're here, and the viewership out on YouTube, folks. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And please don't, if anything that I can do to help in your path and in your movement to be a really, really great global leader and to help with your outreach and your particular business offering, please do not hesitate to reach out and contact me. Again, thank you. I'm Ron Gagosian, and thank you again. Good night.